So all these algorithms and professional advice on a YouTube video, it tells me I should leave you with a direct hook to go out and buy this course and do this at the beginning. But actually, I just frankly like to have a conversation with you all. This is a place where I just get to talk about something that I find interesting and that I know you all find interesting. So yeah, okay, I could direct you now because we're going to talk about womb orgasms, talk about emotions and sex. We're going to talk about the cervix. And so I could say, well, go to our course, Awaken the Sensual Woman. Go to Embodied Love University so that then you could find out all the things that you need to do to then make this even more practical. But the truth is that I just want to have a conversation with you about it. I want you to be able to walk away from this and have a better understanding of your body as an entire system of pleasure. And if you're actually able to interact with yourself or a partner better because of that, well, kudos to me, kudos to you for listening. So I remember when I first began to discover the power of and the importance of stimulating, adjusting, interacting with the cervix. And especially in a more hands-on manner, and the different effects that it would have in a person in terms of their ability to be emotionally present during an intimate experience, their ability to actually feel themselves in terms of actual sensation, feel a connection to another person that then didn't have to be a romantic one, their ability to actually feel themselves finally, the ability to heal pains and aches that they had, whether they were physical, whether they're psychological, or whether they're interpersonal. Now, the interesting thing about the cervix is that a lot of times it gets this sort of focus that the cervix is, it's the end of the vagina. No, it's not. It's actually the beginning of the womb or the uterus. In fact, in Spanish, the cervix is called el cuello del útero, which means the neck of the uterus. Now, the uterus is actually an internal organ. You're actually coming into touch with an internal organ. And the next thing that I would run into a lot, especially when talking to the medical field, is whoa. Do not touch, interact with the cervix. I mean, that's just, you're just asking for disaster because it's going to get bacteria, it's going to get infected. A lot of bad things not just could happen, but are likely going to happen. Why would you want to do that anyways? Because it's not innervated. There's no sensation there that's been shown medically, scientifically. So why would you even do that? Now, I have to say, when I first started to do de-armoring sessions and working with hands-on, if you want to call it therapy, hands-on coaching, the vast majority of the first 100 people that I went to, because I was just doing this for free and investigating, were actually doctors, nurses, physios, different therapists. And it was throughout predominantly Denmark and in Northern Europe. So the very same people that were saying that this is not an area that's innervated, they sure were going, well, why am I feeling so much sensation and so much stuff happening if this is an area that the medical books are telling me it's not innervated? Aaron, please continue in your career, write a book. And here we are now, 20 plus years later, university, courses, book, research paper, and we are not stopping here because there is something that has been known actually from the Taoists for a long time, that if you're to look at the reflexology of the cervix, that it corresponds to the heart. And as we start to look then, well, what could be that possible connection? Because I've definitely spoken about the reflexology before to people who are in more of the harder sciences, let's say, and they say, well, there's no relationship there. Well, possibly. But if you look at referral sensation, normally you hear about kind of referral pain where you're having pain here, but it's really starting from over here. This is, you'll need to start to understand the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve, or the wandering nerve, it connects through all of the main organs of the body. And it also has been shown to innervate the pelvic floor. And some studies are even saying that it innervates the womb. Well, when you start to use your breath in a way that stimulates and activates that pelvic floor, you then are also stimulating and activating the vagus nerve. I mean, if you look at all the kind of polyvagal, and they call it polyvagal theory because some will say that it's not, still it's a theory, but the way that the vagus nerve gets activated, whether it's through temperature or other ones, the Valsalva maneuver, which is like a holding your breath and creating internal pressure in general. There's also the humming, which creates vibration because the vagus nerve then also comes through down here, through the larynx around the neck. I forget the exact precise anatomical structure that it goes by, but when you begin to breathe in a very particular way that we do teach you at ELU, in fact, one of the foundational videos is about this inhale push. And it's a really special way of breathing that is something for the entire body because that movement of the pelvic floor also then moves the womb. It actually brings the cervix into a place that comes all the way down towards the entrance of the vagina. In fact, normally you'd think, well, the cervix can't be touched unless like you really have very long fingers or a really long strap-on or a very big cock or whatever else. But the truth is that in the sessions where I've worked with people, helping them relieve pain, awaken numbness, or even with partners or just casual loving setting, I've never had an issue touching a cervix, and my finger would definitely qualify as a micropenis in terms of size. So if my finger being even maybe a little bit smaller or at the size of what a micropenis would be, could reach a cervix, it's not because my finger has grown longer, it's because with this breath, the cervix actually is able to start to reach down and start to move. And the reason why most people do not feel their cervix, unless of course they're getting an IUD removed, and that definitely is painful. As much as the doctors and everything say, oh no, it's all in your brain, there's nothing going on there. You talk to a woman that's had an IUD inserted or taken out and it didn't go well, there is tremendous amounts of pain. In fact, there is an amazing student of Dr. Saida Desailly's EPSP program. Her name is Els Meyer, and she is a Dutch doctor, and she has made an entire method around how specifically to have a pain-free experience and how to do this in a way to remove or put in an IUD that doesn't create pain because there is sensation there. So by using this breath and allowing this cervix to move, you're allowing more blood flow, you're allowing then more oxygen, and you're allowing those deeper nerves, the vagus nerve and the pelvic nerves, to start to pick up on sensation. And as opposed to this sort of fast-paced vibration that everyone thinks of stimulating the clitoris with, when you start to do more steady, repetitive, light, rhythmic pressure on and around the area of the cervix, then sensation starts to wake up. In fact, every single time, almost always, when contact is first made to the cervix, and I will ask, can you feel this? The answer is no. But then as sensation starts to build and this use of the inhale push, the ability to breathe all the way down and expand that pelvic floor, not squeeze it, expand it out with the breath. So you're not bearing down. You are using the breath to expand that pelvic floor. There's a feeling of, yes, I can feel it. And then the difference is that as opposed to the sensation just simply stopping when the physical contact is there, this area starts to come alive. And it doesn't just come alive in terms of the physical located sensation of the cervix, but there literally starts to open up this almost energetic channel that starts to open up the emotionality, the sensation around the chest. Typically tears will come out, not tears of I'm in pain, but more of a, maybe it's a sadness that this area hasn't been touched before, can't be explained, but then it starts to become these tears of joy as one starts to actually come into contact with oneself and one's emotions in the sexual dynamic, in terms of their own internal sexual dynamic. And this is so important to being able to develop an emotional maturity in the sexual arena, because puberty only means sexual maturity in terms of reproduction, but it does not mean sexual maturity in terms of connection to oneself or another. So, as opposed to the cervix, the womb, and the heart being these kind of things that you leave towards the end of your sexual education, or something that you, oh, this is advanced, or this is some fringe part of what someone gets to explore. I would argue that when you start to understand the body as an entire system of pleasure, the ability to feel the connection between yourself, your emotions, and a sexual experience with yourself or with a partner, this is actually fundamental. It can't be ignored. And it definitely should be explored.